This week's episode is about doing God's work. I'm Rachael Keefe, and this is Monday's Muse. As you can see, we are back at the house my wife and I are renovating. This is going to be our dining room. It was at one point, I suppose, the exterior of the house, and the previous owners created this room, and we are going to make it ours. This window and the window behind me are going to be giant picture windows. This window is going to come out. We're going to put a bench here and the dining room table here, and really make it a comfortable room. I even know what kind of lights I want to put in the ceiling, and it's going to be really cool. We have this great vision for this space. Now imagine what would happen if my wife and I just sat back and wished for the work to be done or prayed that God would make it happen. I don't think we'd be very satisfied. So instead, we are pulling up carpet, pulling down paneling, replacing windows, because we really want this vision we have to come into reality. And it's hard work. And if I'm honest, my wife has done most of it. And if you could see her hands, you'd know that she has recently bought a lot of Band-Aids, because sometimes the work leaves you with scrapes and bumps and bruises, and it's painful and it's exhausting. And we can only hope that the vision we have is worth the effort. It's kind of like that with doing the work God sets before us. One of the texts for this week is from the prophet Micah. You know the one. What does the Lord require of you? Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with your God. It's the doing justice part that's rough. We're not so very good at it, at least historically we haven't been in the mainline Protestant church, the doing of it. We're all for it. We talk about it. We pray about it. But actually getting up and going out and doing it, we haven't been so active in that. But it's necessary, and we have to get more active. And this week has reminded us of what happens when we actually do justice. President Trump signed an executive order that effectively ended the immigration of Muslims to the United States. As a result of that, there were spontaneous protests all across the country, in airports, at government buildings, and other places. And I saw the New York Times came out with today, Sunday, we shoot on Sundays, that the administration is considering or reconsidering their immigration policy based on all the protests. Doing justice matters. Showing up matters. And it looks different for each of us. I don't want to say that prayer doesn't matter. It does. For some folks, that really is the best work of justice that they can do. They may not be able to get out and about and do the work, but they can earnestly, intentionally pray for justice to prevail. For others of us, it may mean increasing our donations to agencies like the ACLU that really is out there advocating for civil liberties. It may be joining in a grassroots movement in your community that is seeking to protect those who might be at risk under the current administration. It may be getting more active in your faith community, writing letters to government officials and letting your views be heard. Or it could be writing a letter saying, thank you to your representative for standing up and actually doing what they're representing you to do. Whatever it takes, we must get active. We must roll up our sleeves. We must be willing to take the risk of the bumps and the bruises and the pain and the exhaustion, trusting that God's vision of a place where people do justice and love kindness and walk with humility will really happen and be worth it. It won't happen without you and me. So will you go out and do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with your God? If you're with me and you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment that just says yes. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.